Today is Thursday, July 23rd, and today is National Refreshment Day, which feels appropriate because if you're listening somewhere warm, hopefully you've got something cold nearby. If not, don't worry. By the end of today's first story, there's a decent chance you'll be craving ice cream anyway. Have you ever stopped to think that some of the things we take for granted today might only exist because someone had to improvise? A simple problem at a World's Fair created one of the most recognizable treats on the planet. Decades later, an unexpected visitor from deep space reminded millions of people to look up. And before the century was over, one of the most anticipated music festivals in history became a cautionary tale instead. Welcome to Wait, That's Random, This Day in History. I'm C.L. Burns, voice actor, audiobook narrator, and your reasonably calm guide through humanity's long history of strange decisions. Imagine it's the summer of 1904. The St. Louis World's Fair was unlike anything most people had ever seen. Covering more than 1,200 acres, it attracted nearly 20 million visitors over the course of its run. It was a place where people came to see the future. Electric lights, new inventions, incredible architecture, and foods from around the world. One of the most popular attractions was, unsurprisingly, ice cream. According to the story most people know, one ice cream vendor had a problem. Business was so good that he ran out of the small glass dishes used to serve his customers. The vendor next to him was selling thin, crisp waffles. Rather than watch potential customers walk away, the waffle maker rolled one into a cone while it was still warm and handed it to the ice cream vendor. Instead of serving the ice cream in a dish, he served it in something you could eat. Now, like many famous origin stories, this one isn't completely settled. Several inventors later claim they created edible cones before the World's Fair, and historians still debate who exactly deserves the credit. But there's still very little debate about what happened next. The 1904 World's Fair introduced millions of people to the idea of carrying their ice cream in a cone. It transformed a clever solution into a worldwide phenomenon. Sometimes history doesn't belong to the person who invents something first. Sometimes it belongs to the moment the rest of the world discovers it. And thanks to one busy summer day in St. Louis, countless sticky fingers, melting scoops, and summer memories have followed ever since. Speaking of things that unexpectedly captured the world's attention, in 1995, people around the globe found themselves looking up. On the night of July 23, 1995, two amateur astronauts were scanning the sky from opposite sides of the world. One was Alan Hale in New Mexico. The other was Thomas Bopp in Arizona. Neither knew the other had spotted the same faint, fuzzy object moving across the stars. It wasn't a distant galaxy. It wasn't a known asteroid. It was a brand new comet. The discovery would eventually bear both their names, Comet Hale-Bopp. At first, it seemed like another routine astronomical discovery. But as astronomers calculated its path, they realized this comet was something special. It was enormous. Its nucleus was estimated to be more than 20 miles across, several times larger than many comets, and it was producing so much dust and gas that it became visible long before most comets normally would. When Hale-Bopp finally swept past Earth in 1997, it put on one of the greatest celestial shows of the 20th century. For 18 months, people around the world could step outside after sunset and see it with their own eyes. No telescopes, no binoculars, just look up. For many people, it was the brightest comet they would ever see. And unlike meteor showers or eclipses that disappear in minutes, Hale-Bopp lingered in the night sky for weeks, becoming part of everyday life. Neighbors called each other outside. Parents woke up their kids. People who had never paid much attention to astronomy suddenly found themselves staring into space. It's one of those rare moments when the entire planet seemed to pause, simply because something beautiful drifted overhead. Unfortunately, not every event that captures the world attention leaves people with memories like that. Sometimes the excitement fades for very different reasons. Just 4 years later, on July 23, 1999, thousands of music fans poured into upstate New York for Woodstock '99. On paper, it sounded like the perfect idea. 30 years after the legendary Woodstock Festival, organizers wanted to recreate the spirit of peace, music, and community for a new generation. Instead, it became one of the most infamous music festivals ever held. The event took place on an abandoned Air Force base. There was very little shade. Temperatures climbed well into the 90s. Water became expensive. Trash piled up. Frustration spread through the crowd. As the weekend wore on, that frustration boiled over. Fires were set. Vendors were looted. Property was destroyed. Hundreds of people were injured, and reports of assaults cast an even darker shadow over the festival. Today, Woodstock 99 isn't remembered for the music nearly as much as it's remembered as an example of what can happen when poor planning, difficult conditions, and enormous crowds collide. It serves as a reminder that even the best intentions don't guarantee the best outcomes. Speaking of people who have built careers by bringing memorable characters to life, today's birthday belongs to Woody Harrelson. Born on July 23, 1961. Harrelson first became a household name playing the lovable bartender Woody Boyd on Cheers, a role that earned him 5 Emmy nominations and 1 win. Rather than becoming trapped by that success, he spent the next several decades proving just how versatile he could be. He's moved effortlessly between broad comedies like White Man Can't Jump and Zombieland, intense dramas like The People vs. Larry Flint and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and acclaimed television performances including True Detective. One of the things that makes Harrelson's career so interesting is that he rarely plays the obvious choice. Whether the character is funny, flawed, eccentric, or unexpectedly wise, he has a way of making them feel completely believable. It's the kind of career that reminds us that taking creative risks can lead to some remarkable places. Looking back at today's stories together, it's interesting how often history turns on expectations. Someone simply wanted a better way to serve ice cream and accidentally helped create an icon of summer. A newly discovered comet reminded millions of people that the universe can still surprise us. And a festival built to celebrate peace became famous for exactly the opposite reason. History has a funny way of reminding us that outcomes rarely follow the script we write for them. Anyway, I have a feeling that the next time I get an ice cream cone, I'll spend at least a second wondering whether I'd still be eating it out of a little glass dish if someone at the 1904 World's Fair hadn't run out of them. And with that, I'll leave you with a thought from Robert Burns. The best laid schemes of mice and men, gang after gley. If you'd like to hear more of my work, audiobooks, or other projects I've somehow gotten myself involved in, you can find everything over at waitthat'srandom.com. I'm C.L. Burns, and honestly, thank you for spending a little time being curious with me. I'll see you tomorrow.